When you think of things that are deliciously American, a few things come to mind. Apple pie, football, supermodels, gigantic pickup trucks, and a 45 ACP 1911 just zipping these slugs downrange. And what's more American than that? That same 1911 with a gigantic silencer on it, shooting the same rounds downrange without hearing protection. That's pretty darn cool. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rugged Adventures. Super happy to have you guys here as usual. Today we have the Rock Island Armory 1911. This is basically the mil spec model, with the exception being that it has the threaded barrel so that we can put the suppressor on. This is a classic firearm. This is one of the majors, one of the ones that you want to have. This is the one that your great-grandfather or maybe even your great-great-grandfather took to World War I, and then he might have taken it, or one of his sons might have taken it to World War II, then on to Korea. The next generation took it to Vietnam. If you were in the Persian Gulf War era, that is when they started switching over to the 9mm, but they still had this with some of their rear echelon folks. And even today, variants of this firearm, this 1911, are being used by special forces because it is just such a good firearm. It has been battle tested and it just works all the time. And this is, like I said, a classic, reproduction of the original. It has basically all of the features that the original had, from the backstrap safety, the regular safety, the tail here that keeps you from getting the hammer bite. Like if you have your hand here, what was a big problem with the 1911s, or maybe it wasn't a problem, but it was just a thing that happened. This would come back, and if you had the web of your hand right there, this would come back and bite your hand every time. It would come back every time you'd shoot it, and it would reset. This one here has a really nice, and I'll try to get that out of the way, a really nice long tail, so that when it does come back, at least for me in my hands, it is very unlikely that I end up getting the hammer bite that a lot of folks were getting from the 1911s. And that's sort of one of those injuries that just comes with the gun. It's sort of like the Garand thumb that you get from the M1 Garand. But today we are going to just show the power of this thing, because it is just shooting an absolute rock. As a matter of fact, this is what it looks like actually from downrange when you're shooting this thing. Are you ready? This is an actual recording from downrange. Watch. But seriously, the 45 ACP is an absolutely huge bullet. I mean, it's just crazy. If you look at these right here, you got the 22 long rifle. We play around with that a lot on the channel. This is a 380. Don't shoot that too much. 9mm, 40 cal. This is your 45 ACP, and it is just a gigantic bullet to be coming out of any gun. If you compare that even to the 223 or the 7.62x39, it's still fairly large compared to even these, especially if you look at it from a top-down view. And the coolest thing about these things is that as big as these are, with as much energy, they are coming out of the gun subsonic. And so that is why we are able to put our SilencerCo Hybrid 46 on here. We've played around with that a lot and shoot things out of there. But again, guys, the design of this is probably one of the most recognizable guns in the world, next to or maybe in the same level as a Glock. Even if you're not necessarily a Glock fan, it seems like folks are either one way or another. It is one of the most recognizable guns in the world. And so today we're just going to screw around with it, look at the differences in the sound levels between it firing unsuppressed and firing suppressed, because that is one of the reasons that I bought it. And I want you guys to hit the like button and subscribe, because unlike all the other channels out there, or a lot of the other gun channels that are getting their firearms on consignment or something, I actually buy these things, and I own them. And so the more ad revenue that we can bring in, the more guns that we can play with, and the more cool stuff that we can do in this channel. So be sure to like and subscribe down below. So first off, let's just see how much noise this thing makes, how much we can suppress it with a suppressor. Got our decibel meter here, and we will see what this does. I'll go ahead and rack it because that actually makes a lot of noise, and then I'll reset the max and we'll see what it does unsuppressed. Woo! Got 116.8 decibels unsuppressed, and I can never tell if this is going to go into focus or not, but let's screw that Hybrid 46 suppressor on there, see what the difference is. It's going to, in my opinion, I think it's going to be pretty dramatic. Now with the Hybrid 46, and if you guys are familiar with this, the reason they call it the 46 is because you can shoot a maximum of a 46 caliber bullet through there. A 45, a .45 ACP, that is almost to the maximum diameter that you can fit out of this. So with the end cap on, you should be getting the most sound suppression that you absolutely can out of here. I've already shot one to get the first shot suppressor pop out of the way. I'm going to reset our decibel meter and see what this comes up with. .1. That is amazing that we can take, what, almost 30 decibels off this thing, and it's got smoke coming out of it. That's pretty cool, too. Let's go down range and see what this thing does to all the different targets that we have. So now we're down range with this 1911 and 45. We're going to shoot some of our favorite targets. We have a pineapple down there, and we have corn that we want to try to make cream corn out of, and then we'll shoot our metal targets to see how much this thing makes it ring. The only kind of downside with this suppressor on there, and if you guys look down the barrel, take the mag out and look down it. If you look down the sights, the suppressor pretty much takes up the sight picture. This is a mil-spec 1911, other than the longer threaded barrel, so it does have those fixed sights, and so if you are shooting it, you kind of have to use your imagination about where exactly the target is with, in the sight picture. And another thing I've noticed using this and this particular gun is that I am getting, debris essentially blown out of the case here, from the various, I don't know if it's gunpowder or whatever, but it does seem to blow back a little bit of debris. But, if you can handle that, it's pretty freaking sweet to not use hearing protection and to have like 80 some decibels. Let's see how this does if I can hit it with essentially no sight picture. Let's try that pineapple first. There we go, we hit it low. There we go, I think it hit on the other side. That was pretty high, unless it ricocheted. Let's try that can of corn if we can. Oh yeah, we nailed that one, that was a good shot. Let's hit those steel. What the?
3 hours later.
I don't know what the deal is. I have not been able to hit this at all with two hands, but I put one hand on it and all of a sudden it's just like I can hardly miss. Let's give this a shot. I don't know. The two hands. I don't know what the deal is. I've been able to hit it nearly every time, just one-handing it. So if someone out there's got the answer for that, let me have it, because I think that that's just ridiculous. So this video didn't go the way that I thought it would go, and that's okay. It happens from time to time, but it's obvious that having that real clear sight picture is really important for you to be able to hit your target. So let's put some without the silencer on it and see if I do any better. So 7 out of 8, not perfect, but a heck of a lot better than we were kidding with the silencer on, and I couldn't see the sight picture. Just for reference, I also brought down my little 9mm, this little SIG P365. I wanted to show you the difference in how hard it hits those metal targets, because this is what the 45 lost its job to, was the 9mm, specifically because you could carry more of these in a magazine. That whole giant 1911 only holds 8. This little 9mm and this little, hand pistol holds 10. So that is a big difference, and especially in a larger pistol like an M9, you can fit a whole bunch more of these than you can of 45. But here's what it looks like when it hits those steel targets. Much less movement, so there's much less energy that is being put into the target from this than that gigantic 45. So we've put about 150 rounds or so through this gun today, and really the first shot that you saw me take at the very beginning of this video was the first shot that I had taken out of this gun. And this is a Rock Island Armory. It is not a high-end gun. It's not top of the line by any means at all. As a matter of fact, I got this for about $450, maybe $475 if you include FFL fees, shipping, and things like that. And you can find these all over the internet for that. So what do I think about it? So far, this is a really great gun as far as I'm concerned. It is a mil-spec firearm, which means that it should probably work pretty well and not have too many malfunctions. At the same time, not being a precision weapon that is, you know, just the top of the line type of thing. But we only had 2 malfunctions where we had failures to feed, and those were both why we had the suppressor on it, and all that did was lock back the slide. There is a very good chance that that has nothing to do with the gun and was just me kind of getting lazy with my grip and maybe just sort of getting soft-wristed, so to speak, and the gun not being able to use all the recoil available to it with that suppressor there on the end to be able to cycle. It was probably at least 100 to 120 rounds deep, so I may have just been getting tired and running up and down here. Might have just been getting tired. Everything on this operates very well. From the first time you cock it, when it pulls the hammer back, the rest of the time, it slides very well. And I've had this thing down on the ground. It may have a little bit of some dust and dirt in it from running all day, but everything works really great. The take up on the trigger, and I'm going to put this the other way, and there's no one around here, so I'm not flagging anyone, but the take up on the trigger is very minimal, and then the brake is extremely crisp. There's nothing that, it's not spongy, it's not soft or anything, it's just a millimeter or so take up, and it operates very well. Everything else is operated very well. Also, you know, the mag holdback, the mag, or the slide release, the magazine release. The only thing is when you put this in, it does sort of stop right there. I'm not sure if that is a feature or a flaw, but if you just put your, you know, man pants on and get it in there, it works very well. Ejects just fine, and so altogether, I think that this is a fabulous gun for the price, especially coming already with a threaded barrel that you can put your suppressor on. You don't have to add any additional parts, although the suppressor does affect the sight picture, and you know that's really not something that's easily overcomable with fixed sights there. So guys, that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe down below. The more that you share this, the more people watch it, the more revenue comes in, the more cooler and awesomer guns that we can get, the more ammo and the more fun things that we can do on this channel. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you on the next one.